Welcome back, everybody, to NorSpeaksOut. I'm Nor, and as you all know, this channel is all about African history and diaspora stories. And I'm really excited today. This is our first island story. So I'm going to allow my guest to introduce himself, to tell us a little bit about him. And if you don't mind, so introduce yourself, tell us where you were born and raised, please.
Let me introduce myself. My name is Rudi, born in Coventry, 1960, 31st of December 1960, which makes me 62.
Happy birthday.
And certain people just missed my birthday.
Oh. Belated.
So
I'm close, it wasn't that far away. Oh, bless. Coventry, 1960, born. So you born here, were you raised here?
No, born in Coventry, grew up in the small island, quite a large island to me at the time. Born in Coventry, raised in St Vincent, went back to St Vincent with my parents. Had to take me back because how it was set up at the time. Was mum and dad couldn't cope with having, I think I was, me, Angela, my younger sister, and she's pregnant with my brother at the time, Kenny. Slightly younger. He's 60 this year.
Okay, so mum and dad came. 4 of you were born here.
There's more. Well,
there's more.
Yeah, there's more. Let me tell you more. Right.
Okay.
There's actually 8 of us.
Okay.
Eight in the family, but a lot of them were brought up in St Vincent.
Okay.
Born in St Vincent, brought up in St Vincent.
Okay.
Yeah. So she had to go back and take us back because how it was set up at the time. There was no Irish, no black, no dogs. So mum and dad, they were living in this one room at the time. I think that's how it was set up.
In Coventry.
In Coventry.
Yeah.
Because when they came up, kind of windrush people, windrush generation.
Yeah.
So that's how it was set up at the time. So they took us back to eventually bring us back later when they had a house, when they had everything settled.
Okay.
Settled down, and they had the money, the finance to bring us up.
Okay.
That's where we came back. Yeah.
Do you remember how old you were when you went back, or how long?
I believe I was probably about 2 to 3 years old at the time.
When you went back.
When I went back.
How long were you there?
Up until I think I was about 9 when they brought me back.
Okay.
So I went school. Gosh, I'm warm now. I'll take this off. I went junior school here for 2 years.
Okay.
Not in London, in Coventry.
In Coventry.
Yeah. And from there went on to secondary school.
Okay. So can you tell us a little bit about what you remember? So you had, I think it was like 6 or 7 years when mum sent you back to St Vincent.
Yeah.
Before bringing you back to Coventry.
Well, growing up in St Vincent.
Yeah. Just those early years.
It's kind of the early years of. I enjoyed my time in St Vincent. I was thinking about that yesterday, as it goes, because it was the island. It's a beautiful island, but back in that time, in the village, we had no electric, so you had to, and even to go and get water, you had to go to these standpipes or go to the streams and things like that. And it was different because the crops. You had mango, you got breadfruit and things like that, so you could, and it was just a different environment. Totally run around naked and things like that as a boy.
Yeah.
Because you don't care.
Of course.
And it was just totally, it was just beautiful. Plus the sea was just there.
Oh, that does sound. Where in St Vincent did you grow up?
It's on there. I grew up in a village called Sandy Bay Village.
Okay.
And it was right on the, everywhere's right on the coast, but it's right, I would say. But it's on the Atlantic Sea, so it can be predominantly quite rough at times, right? But when, I think it's seasonal, and when it's calm, it's so beautiful.
Okay. I have to add it to my list, very nice.
Absolutely beautiful, seriously.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so that's the early years.
That's my early years. When I left there, I believe I left there, probably about 8 or 9. I remember coming back on BOAC. You ain't heard of that. Queen Travel, don't it? You saw, if you look on some of the mole things, you'll see all the mole videos here.
Okay.
Yes, I remember coming back on that. Getting to Heathrow Airport. And there's me, my brother, Kenny, my younger brother, myself, my older brother. And it was cold. We were just wearing this linen white shirt and trousers, and some damn, it's cold. Anyway, I got back. We're kind of excited because I knew I was going to come. When I was in St Vincent, I knew I was going to come back. Because, Mom's going to send for you, you're going to come back to Baba. And I was looking forward to it. So.
And you had been with Grandma, I presumed that?
No, well, Grandma was next door because how we were brought up, right? My grandmother was living right next door, and there's this lady who's I think they're a distant family. We're related in some way, and I'm still in contact with quite a few of the people who I call brothers and sisters now. But the lady, she's passed on recently, who was looking after me, and they were right next door, kind of like it was like how can I do? You know those wooden houses?
Yeah.
That's what they had back there. So we had a wooden house there. A wooden house on the other side there.
Okay.
And you had the beach down there and the main road running up top. So I remember quite a lot still there.
Yeah. You know? And like a really big bit of land that you're...
Yeah. I mean, there was houses from going along the road, going out towards the, how can I say, going around to the next land, the point, because it will come round and go around in that kind of horse shape. The village.
Oh, like the landscape kind of?
Yeah, the landscape, yeah. But it was
Okay.
beautiful. It really was. I remember that. So that's
what you left and then got here, Heathrow, just a little bit chilly, just a tiny bit.
Just a tiny bit. And I remember getting there, my father and I think a friend came to pick us up. I don't think Mum was in the car at the time.
Okay.
I'll have to get back to that and find out from one of my sisters if Mum was in the car.
Yeah.
So getting back to Coventry now, we were living in a high rise, but it was only on the 4th floor of the flats. And it took us a while, I think, because we come back. I don't know how many months it was before we were put into school, because you had to wait a period of time before you went into school.
Okay.
So I went to junior school. I went into the junior school. Did I think it was a year and a half or 2 years before I went to secondary school.
Okay.
But by that time, Mama had found a proper. They'd moved from the flats into a 3-bed house.
Okay.
So that was quite nice. So when we moved there, I started secondary school. Half an hour walk.
Ooh.
But before that, I remember before going back now to when I was in the flat, because how it was, the environment was really the smog. You know, the burnt coal and paraffin. That wasn't very good for me.
That's not good.
Because I suffered with asthma.
Yeah.
At one stage, I thought I was gonna. Yeah, seriously.
And that was mostly around where the flat.
It was everywhere. It wasn't just. It was like in Coventry, London, blah blah blah. Because this smog was. It was everybody's burning coals and paraffin and things like that. So it wasn't. And it was only like later I realised. I wonder. That must have been why I had that asthma, because I've grown out of asthma. You know. And it was just really, really, really bad. Plus, you had the cold weather with that as well, so it affected my lungs for quite a while. So I missed a large chunk of school because of asthma.
Attacks and stuff. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So the inhalers eventually helped. By that time, I think I was about 18 or 19 before I started to grow out of this. Probably more later.
Yeah. That's interesting. Okay. So Coventry moved into this new mum and dad, doing well now, brought you over into a house now, and you're in secondary school.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what secondary school was in Coventry in, what was that, 1970?
Yeah, it was 17. Right? No, you're right, yeah. What was it like? I'm trying to... That's a good question. What was it like? Like going to school, really, but one of the things I liked about it, because it was predominantly white, but there's quite a few black guys or black people of my age
Okay.
or people of colour of my age, because they had some Sikhs, they had some Hindus,
Okay.
and obviously Caribbean, one or two Africans who were, you know, adopted and things like that. It was just general school. I think when we got into later years of school and when they were asking me what you want to do kind of thing, that's when you started to look at things. And I'm looking back now, is when the teachers, when you did careers, when they wanted, you know, your careers teacher and come around, blah, blah, blah.
So when you get to like, what, the 15s,
Yeah,
16s?
yeah, and they're trying to come around and say, what do you want to do? And I think, you know, you want to do this, and they're trying. That did happen. It did happen when they try and dissuade you and say, oh, I'm just going, you know, they try and focus on you. It was like push you back, sort of.
But push you into what?
Engineering or blah, 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 blah,
Okay.
whatever. And not into anything like a doctor or things like that, or anything positive. Not that I would have been a doctor with my grades at the time. I don't even want to go into my grades at that time because, you know. Yeah, so there wasn't any focus on that.
For, you think, like, not for you only, or do you think other
For a
people?
lot of people can't. There wasn't any focus on that. And I remember going down and you can do this, blah, blah. And there's never sort of, I said, well, go and do this and do, you know, something a bit more.
Yeah, trying to lift people up. Although you had a bit of diversity in terms of student population, what about teaching staff in your...
One of my better teachers was that RE teacher, religious education. I remember him quite well, but all the other teachers, I don't think they really focused, unless you stood out, they'd make an effort at that time. My teachers anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know about my brother. I have to talk to my brother and his friend as well, our friend, and see what, because we all went to the same school.
Okay. I'm guessing the teachers weren't all white as well then? You didn't have many? Yeah,
I think there was only one that I knew. I think he might have been Mauritian, or he might be from one of those Seychelles or something like that.
Okay.
There's only one in the entire school that I can remember. No, I don't think of it. I think they were predominantly white.
Okay.
And obviously, if you're good at sports, they try and focus on sport. My brother's a good runner. If you're good at athletics or things like that,
that's when they push you more so.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
I think times have changed now, though. Personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things for sure, I think, are much better, but there's still a way to go. Having grown up or spent like a significant proportion of your time away from your parents in St Vincent, when you came here, how was that transition for you? Was there like any issues in terms of your relationship with your parents?
Yeah, there was. My mum was my mum, right? And I still, up till this day, I remember my first hug with my mum. Because my dad had said something and I just ran to her and just, you know. So I remember that. I'll never forget that, because I remember that in the flat, in the kitchen, and I ran to her and I just hugged her. You know? Little me. Yeah. So I'll never forget that. But my father was very, very, very strict, and I think it's probably his upbringing as well that made it that way, because he was brought up with one of 10, I think.
Okay.
And he never, from what I know or what I've heard, because we never had that, I've never had that discussion with my father. And it'd be nice if we still allowed to, because there's so many questions I wanted to ask him. I never had a chance to ask him. So he lived with another lady, so she took him on, and that's how it was. And I don't think she could have children.
Okay.
So she brought him up, kind of thing. But when he got to an age, he went and done his thing and met mom. But he was very, very strict. Okay. So I just think, and we think, it's something to do with his upbringing, his personal upbringing. Yeah. Children should be seen and not heard. Coming to the house, you have to say hello, blah, blah, all this kind of thing. Okay. Yeah.
So mum was like that sort of...
Mum, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So in terms of, you don't feel like, okay, you had some issues maybe with secondary school, but more so later on in secondary school with like more with the teachers. Did you have any issues with like students? when you were in secondary school in terms of?
Yeah, I think we did, but we never frowned on it. You know, you had the names and things like that. If you remember some of the programs like Love Thy Neighbour and thing, they came out when we were still at school. I'm sure they came out when we were still at school, Love Thy Neighbour. And Roots, when Roots came out the first time, the first Roots when that came out, we were still at school. I think I was 4th year or 5th year or something like that. And, you know, and everybody's watching Roots.
Yeah.
Black, white, Asian, every colour's watching Roots. So when we went to school, I think some people, it was a good eye opener for a lot of people to see what people like myself experience. And I think I remember one guy saying that I'm really sorry at school. Yeah, he said I'm really sorry, seriously. So I remember it was kind of like but growing up in, you know, you still had the N word was being called, and the W word, and because there's a quite high contingent of blacks around there, we just stuck together.
Okay.
We stuck together, and any trouble, you know, we sorted it out. Okay. But it wasn't stabbing. There was none of that. It was pure fist. Just
have it out.
Yeah, have it out, done.
Okay, but for the most part, in school, it was kind of like the...
Yeah, in school, if anything, there was a couple of fights after school, you know.
Okay.
Not with me.
So did you not then, like, mix? You didn't make friends with...
Yeah, we did. We had friends,
okay.
Yeah. It was we had friends, but then you would stick with what you knew, but there's one or two friends that you would go, you know, and they were all right.
Yeah, and they were fine.
Yeah.
Question, you might have been finding school or maybe like walking home or whatever in the park.
Yeah.
Were some of these friends how are their family members? Were you able to like go to their homes and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for me, I went to a couple of their homes and, you know, would go out. Okay. That's how it was.
Okay.
I had a close friend who's passed on recently, and I'd go down to his house. I know his mum and dad were a bit, but they were accepting of me. Okay. They were accepting of me, you know. Okay. So I never really, I think because Coventry was multicultural, so people seeing people of colour, and they were accepting of, you know.
They were familiar.
Yeah, they were familiar with people of colour.
Okay. And so, finished school now. What did you do after school? So I know doctor wasn't in the pipeline, engineer.
I wasn't even sure, because I think how I am now and how many of our parents are now, you sit down and chat, what do we want to do, what would you like to do, blah, blah, blah. My father never had that conversation. That wasn't any of us, right? And I think as a father, you have that, you know, you should sit down with a child, or you'll say, well, what do you hope to do later in life? We never had that. But I can understand where he's coming from, because he was working nights a lot of the time, and getting that money to give to mom, and she'll go out and do everything. But he didn't want that. All it was, children shouldn't be seen and not heard. So when he came home, we were all quiet.
Okay.
You know, and with like remote control, like everybody was.
Yeah.
And it was just. I was speaking to my brother the other day. He could have, right, I want you to buy this house. I'm going to give you this money to buy this house, blah, 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 and build this. You know, he never did any of that. But that's how he was brought up, and I think some of his. Even some of his friends might have been that way with their kids as well.
Well, they didn't have like a personal sort of
relationship.
Okay. So then, you didn't necessarily have your dad to advise you. Mum, in terms of like career,
Mum was, both of them were working as well. They were both working. Mum would come home and she'd start the dinner and things like that. So she'd try. She would try, and I mean, you know, me and Mum was with all of us, like, so we'd have a bit of a laugh with her and something like that. But she was focusing on other things as well, and her just getting the house straight and doing bits and pieces around there. So she couldn't sit down and have that chat. So at that time, I was in my... When did I come to London? I think I was about 25. And there was loads of work in Coventry at the time when I just left. But then Margaret Thatcher was in power, so she closed down a lot of the factories.
Okay.
She closed down the car factories, the colliery, everything. So there was no work in there, and you had to go elsewhere to find work. Work was really difficult to find unless you got into a field, unless you went to the armed forces.
Is that what you were doing before? So working in factories and stuff?
Well, I got a job working. I was working for a Manpower Commission doing upholstery, and I really enjoyed that. And I wish I'd carried on because I did a year of that. If I'd got a job doing that, I'd probably still be. You wouldn't be interviewing me. I'd probably in Coventry or Nuneaton or Leamington or somewhere like that. Yeah. So I'd be doing this.
It's never too late. Yeah. It's never too late.
I want to travel now. That's all I want to do.
You can travel and upholster in Thailand, in Uganda. It's fine.
Yeah. So all I want to do is travel. Yeah. So and I was having fun doing that. I was really enjoying this, and I think soon after that finished. Did a little bit of more work. Then I ended up in London. I came here looking for work.
So you arrived in London. Well, how did you find London in comparison to Coventry when you came at 25, 26? Around
25,
there?
I think I'm working. It's bigger, so you're a bit wary kind of thing. But I had my brother, my sister, my two older sisters were living in London
already. Okay.
And my older brother, the one above me, he was living in London, so in Tottenham. So it's a bit of an eye opener, really. But I'd go back quite often because I couldn't take the speed here.
Okay.
So I'd go back to Coventry every weekend or every other weekend. Slow down a bit, then come back. I had a job then. I was working as little me doing security.
Yeah?
Yeah. At 55 Broadway.
Okay.
Which is transport headquarters down at St James's.
Yeah.
So I remember working with this guy. I can't remember where he's from. It might be Antiguan or something. And he came down, came from one of the buildings, because the building's 10th floor at St James's Park. It's 10th floor building, 55 Broadway. So he came down and he says, "Really, this job's going on the underground." And it was quite easy to get jobs there. It really was in London to get.
Yeah.
So I went down and did a stupid test. I got a job.
You did a stupid test? So hold on. So 25, 26. What, are we in the maths is terrible. We're in the 90s, right?
Yeah, 80s, 86.
86, okay.
85, 86, yeah.
This is what I mean. The maths is terrible. Anyway, 86, you moved to London.
I actually moved in 85, and I think it was 86 I got a job.
Got the job. Okay, very quick. Well, you had the security job anyway, and then got the transport to London. So you did the stupid test.
Yeah. Got a job. Went for a medical. Got the job, and
there was no a resume, CV.
No. They just want. Listen, they wanted people. If I'd come a year before that, and sort of I was working with a company, I brought you in. They pay me for bringing you.
Why couldn't things be simpler? There's job applications. Yeah. Anyway.
Crazy. So I started working on there.
Yeah.
And that's January the 22nd, which is next week. Is it 22nd next week? Sometime?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that'll be, my maths are terrible now because I joined 86, 9th, January.
Yeah, I can't even help with that. So, so all this time, you've still been...
I'm still working there now.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good amount of pension
yes.
you got there. Very nice. Okay.
Most of my managers were Caribbean. I'd say 90% really.
90, yeah.
Station masters, supervisors, but they never made it to the top level managers.
Okay.
Like line managers or things like line managers, the one like the Victoria line, the district line or something like that.
Okay.
They're called area managers. One or two of them would make that, but they never got as far. They took their company to court, I believe.
Okay.
When just after the fire, because a lot of them said they should really have made it. And a lot of these guys are very well educated because the Caribbean education is
proper.
Yeah, proper. So I don't know they took me to court, but I don't know if it's a Freemason or society where only certain people go to a level.
Can climb.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've been there.
I've been there many years, and I mean I could have put in to
like
go further, but I'm quite happy where I was.
Okay.
And I just said, you know what,
So
just go with it.
Yeah. So you didn't necessarily try and
No.
become okay, but you saw some people, I guess.
Yeah. People.
were
I've seen
making
quite a
this.
lot of people making the grade now, gone above me and gone up there, and I'm quite happy for them.
Okay, and like black people as well.
Yeah,
Okay,
black.
so do you think like things have improved now from
Yes,
when
it
you
has.
first
It
joined?
has
Okay.
immensely, because these guys, a couple of them are line managers, and run the depot, things like that, the
Okay.
train depot.
Mm.
So they're in charge of, I don't even know how many people are on that 1,000.
Oh, wow.
People,
Yeah.
So they've done well. We even had I think he was mixed race, Nigerian and somewhere else, and he was one of the like deputy heads.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's easy.
they're getting to the top.
Mm.
So they've done quite well in that department.
Okay. And so, would you say, although I mean you're still in London, so I'm guessing you do prefer London now, or to Coventry? Because I know at first you were kind of like, the pace is a little bit too.
Yeah, but when you get to this, I don't even know.
London.
Where I am now at my age, I could live anywhere and
Okay.
still be happy.
Okay.
I think it's not for everybody. Everybody, my sister was saying she lived in London for a while, and she just thinks Coventry is too slow.
Mm.
And then she lived in kind of like Tower Hill
area.
And she just finds it sometimes a little bit slow. But for me, I could probably go there and still be able to cut it. I know all the amenities and all these things are 10, 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
As well, I live in Walthamstow.
Everything's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is quite easy and
Yeah.
straightforward.
But she just finds it a little bit too slow for her. That's for me. I'm easy. The name calling, like I said, was, they hunky, wog, kind of thing. That's how it was then.
And was that like every day kind of, or
No.
and was it?
No, it wasn't every day. And I think a lot of it was probably went over our heads, because you got used to it something.
Yeah.
You got sometimes and just straight over your head.
Yeah.
I remember one particular incident was when the punks were out. Remember the punk people when they came out?
Mm.
And I remember there's loads of troubles going on in Coventry, because there's loads of riots about at the time.
Yeah.
It was me, my brother, and a couple of other people were walking down. There's certain incidents that stay with you, and it was just we're walking in towards the town centre. And this Panda, big police vehicle, just turns up, and there's going to be some hassle.
Yeah.
Come out. And the sergeant, I remember the sergeant,
Yeah.
where are you going, nigger?
Mm.
So that stayed with me. That's one of them
Yeah.
that stayed with me.
And this was when you were in primary school?
No, this is when I just finished secondary school, probably about 16, 17 or something like that.
Okay.
And you're just thinking, what can we do?
Mm.
So that's one incident that stayed with me. Occasionally other incidents that happened. I mean, there was racism there, but once you showed that you could fight back,
Yeah.
which we did quite a lot.
Had to.
Especially with the football things as well, because we
Yeah.
used to play for a black team called Jabadis, and we'd go to these villages and they'd be ready for us on a Sunday morning, and it'll come half time or when the game's finished, it'll kick off.
Okay.
Proper kick
And that's win or lose, I guess, whether you
Win or lose, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, because they'll be baiting us, and some of the guys they wouldn't back down.
Mm.
They won't back down at all.
Yeah.
So I think from that, when we showed that we're not going to stand for this nonsense, we'd fight back as well. Respect.
Okay.
That's where the respect came from, was because we fought back
Okay.
at that time.
Yeah. And then, just in comparison to London, do you think there was you had that sort of more racism in even though I know the bulk of your younger years were in Coventry, do you think London, where it's would have been a more diverse city?
London was a more diverse city, but then look at what went on in Brixton and things like that.
Yeah. But for you, when you came,
when I came, I mean, I didn't experience that any of what went on in Brixton or anything like that. For I was brought up in Tottenham, but then you had the water farm up the road from where I was living. So I don't know. I mean, what they experienced, I never experienced. Or maybe they experienced it more, and maybe because of my father with the street. So I was never out there as much as a lot of people are allowed to. Go to youth clubs, go and do this and do this. But no. Even go to my local park when my father how strict he was. That was difficult.
Okay. I didn't actually ask you, so when you guys came from London, did mum and dad come too? I just assumed they stayed in Coventry and you and your siblings were the ones moving kind of now you're adults.
When we came back, when we first initially came back?
No, so when you came to London you were 25, right?
Yeah, no, they were in Coventry because that's where they were living at the time. So I left them there to move back, to come up to find work because there's nothing in Coventry for me. And my younger brother followed me up as well. But my older sister she'd gone some years ago and she was living in, was that Erica? She was living in, before now she was living in Peckham.
Okay.
Southampton where you stayed. And from there she moved to Town Hill. But so the racism side now, it wasn't as strong for me, although at times, you notice certain things.
Okay.
And obviously I had to be careful because if police turned up at the old man's house, I'm probably getting battered by the police and my old man.
Yeah, and probably a bit more harsh from the old man than the police. Like, what advice would you give to anybody from like St Vincent, the Caribbean, coming here?
I tell them to come because there's opportunities there for them. Because the job market in you're on minimum wage, less than minimum wage in the Caribbean at the moment, unless you can get your grades and get a job in there. But most people leave the island. They either go Canada, America, here or elsewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. So I tell them to come.
You say come?
No, seriously come.
Okay. So for sure come. What advice then would you give to people thinking about coming to the UK? What recommendations or any suggestions you might give them just to kind of forewarn or?
I think the media, and obviously with internet and everything, it's made the world's gone so much smaller. They can see for themselves what's going on, But academically, I'll just say go with your studies, do what you need to do to get up there. Because once you're in here, you got the college, you got everything, you got all these little things about that. You can learn a bit more. Because what's happened in the Caribbean as well is a lot of people go in the armed forces from there.
Join our arms forces?
Yeah, you join the British Armed Force but you have to, I don't know, it's changed over the years because a lot of people, when they were fighting in Afghanistan, we had a lot of intake of people coming from the Caribbean coming up and getting into the army. One or two of them would do 2 tours of work, either in Afghanistan or Iraq. And they've done well out of it. One of my distant cousins, he's still there, but he's in the Marines, and he's having a beautiful time.
Okay.
Beautiful
opportunities.
Time. There's massive opportunities because you don't have to stay there. You do a few years, then you just transfer and go somewhere else. You've got nursing as well, that's coming up as well. Teachers.
Yeah, definitely need some teachers.
Yeah, so all this is coming. I'd say come.
Come. Yeah. Get your skills, get your knowledge.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah.
Come.
Definitely.
Okay. As a child, growing up as well in the UK, what advice would you give maybe younger parents or people in the Caribbean, maybe, or Africa coming over with children? What recommendations would you give to them in terms of how to raise their kids sort of the best way?
That's a big one. I mean, my daughter's born in this country, but she's back in St Lucia and she's coming back here with a six-year-old who's going to be 7. Like again, right? I can't really she's a good parent at the moment. Well, she's a good parent. You're a good parent.
You are. He says this all the time.
But having said that, you know what? Most of the people I know in the Caribbean, they're good parents. You know, they nurture their kids, they talk to their kids, and they try and improve, get them to a point what they want out. And I think this isn't just the Caribbean. I think I see that quite a lot from Africans as well. Nigerian, Ghanaians, bravo, a whole lot. Where the kids are doing exceptional well at school. I think, like again, the internet has made things possible.
Yeah.
So use it.
Yeah. Find
Seriously,
out.
use it.
Specifically though, having experience being a child here, is there anything that you might suggest, like, so that they can, I guess, understand the new space that they're in, but also learn the new environment, but kind of coach their child?
Okay, my granddaughter was there for a short time, and she knows this is the place that she wants to live, right? Because she's been brought up in St Lucia, and she's doing exceptionally well at school. She's in the top, yeah. And she turned around and said to her grandmother, they were having a discussion, and she just says, "This is where I want to be. This is where I need to be. There's everything that's here for me." 6-year-old.
Sheesh. She's a smart girl.
6-year-old. And she said, it has everything I need to improve. But she didn't use the word improve. This is,
where I ought to be. But she didn't say why specifically.
No, in a sense she did. Yeah, it wasn't a TikTok. It was just like, because I took her to the Natural History Museum and things like that. You know, and she was just in her element. You know, so there's everything. Well, everything's there.
Yeah. Last question. So I know you would recommend for people from St Vincent, from the Caribbean and other places to come to the UK, but what do you miss about St Vincent? What are some of the things that, yes, there are some opportunities here, and you've been here for a long time, this is home, I guess, for you now. You know, what things do you miss?
The weather?
The weather?
I don't know. What was the question?
Not much then. What do you miss? What do you miss about St Vincent?
I think some of the food, some of the obviously the Caribbean weather where you get the breeze with the heat. I can't really, I mean, that's a good question. Maybe the climate.
Okay. The weather, food.
The food. Some of the people are rubbish, but some of the people are just as good as well. So
just like here.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Food, the weather, the climate, with the breeze, the heat and the breeze.
Yeah.
And maybe some of the people.
Some of the people, but I mean, okay, the island's mountainous and it's beautiful. Seriously, when you just look from where my father had his land, you can see the next island. You got St Lucia with the pitons. See it straight out there. And it's very scenic, beautiful, very scenic. So I'm just
Nice. Thank you so much just for sharing your experiences and telling your story on your terms. I really, really appreciate it. If you have any comments, any questions that you have for Uncle Rudi or for myself, please write, comment, like, share, subscribe. As always, this is NorSpeaksOut, and for today, Uncle Rudi has spoken, and so we're asking you, wahura.
Wahura.
Which means, are you listening?
Are you listening?
Bye, guys.
Bye.